Every day, we walk past people who are fighting invisible battles inside their own minds. Today, we're going to explore 5 major mental health disorders, not as simple sadness or worry, but as real biological changes happening inside the brain. Let's dive in. 1. Depression. Depression is not just sadness, LMO moment. It's a persistent temptines. At its core, depression involves an imbalance in neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. These chemicals are responsible for pleasure, motivation, and reward. When their supply or signaling breaks down, the brain's reward system stops functioning properly. So, things that once brought joy no longer feel pleasurable. This is called anhedonia. On top of that, the brain regions that regulate sleep, appetite, and energy also become disrupted. That's why depression often comes with physical exhaustion, insomnia, and emotional pain. 2. Generalized Anxiety Disorder. Generalized Anxiety Disorder, or GAD, turns everyday life into a constant threat alert system. The amygdala, the brain's alarm center, becomes overactive. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for rational thinking, struggles to calm that alarm down. As a result, the brain can no longer clearly separate real danger from imagined danger. This causes repeated releases of cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone. Over time, this leads to muscle tension, a racing heart, constant worry, and chronic fatigue. The body remains trapped in fight or flight mode long after the threat is gone. 3. ADHD. ADHD is often misunderstood as simply not being able to focus. But the real issue is how the brain controls attention. The root cause lies in delayed development of the prefrontal cortex and irregularities in the dopamine system. Dopamine tells the brain, this is important, or this is interesting. When that system misfires, the brain struggles to prioritize tasks correctly. That's why someone with ADHD can spend hours completely focused on something they truly enjoy, yet find it extremely difficult to begin a boring but necessary task. It's not a lack of willpower. It's a structural difference in how the brain processes reward and priority. 4. Obsessive compulsive disorder. Obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD, traps the brain in a self-perpetuating loop. A specific brain circuit involving the orbitofrontal cortex, the anterior cingulate cortex, and the basal ganglia becomes overactive. Normally, this circuit tells us when something is complete or safe, but in OCD, that signal keeps repeating. The person never feels completely certain or truly at ease. Compulsive behaviors, like repeated hand washing or checking locks, temporarily reduce anxiety. But every time relief follows a compulsion, the brain learns that the compulsion worked. This strengthens the cycle, making it even harder to break free. 5. Post-traumatic stress disorder. Post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, can develop after severe trauma. During a traumatic event, the amygdala becomes highly activated. At the same time, the hippocampus, which normally stores memories with proper time and context, doesn't work correctly. As a result, the traumatic memory gets stored without a clear sense of the past. So when something triggers that memory, it doesn't feel like remembering. It feels like reliving. This is why flashbacks can feel so vivid and so real. Reduced activity in the prefrontal cortex also makes it harder to control the brain's fear response. That's why hypervigilance, a constant state of alertness, becomes a lasting symptom.